Hello and welcome to another edition of News Showcase. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. The government of Tamil Nadu has announced a festival gift pack for all residents with ration cards in the state. The pack, worth 239 rupees each, will include a kilogram of rice, sugar, sugarcane and other food ingredients. The government rolls out gift packs for the people, which is a practice in the state during the harvest festival celebrated this month. It said there are 2.19 crore subscribers of food grain rations provided by the state. The government said Sri Lankan refugees living in camps in the state will also qualify for the gifts. The Harvest Festival, which lasts a week, is one of the most important festivals in Tamil Nadu. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is on a visit to Lakshadweep Islands, inaugurated a high-speed internet line and said communications will be 100 times faster now. The submarine optical fiber project was among various others, said to be worth over 1,000 crore rupees. He also unveiled a low-temperature thermal desalination plant, which will produce 1.5 lakh litres of clean drinking water every day. In a speech, he said, "The island is small, but the people living there have a big heart." He highlighted his government's efforts towards development of the island and other outlying territories. He also pointed out that previous governments that were not run by his BJP had ignored the island. Modi arrived on the island after inaugurating a sophisticated air terminal in central Tamil Nadu on Tuesday. A cold wave continues to sweep northern parts of India, causing disruption to routine life and transport systems. Authorities have urged people to be careful while driving and use fog lights for better visibility. It said people should avoid unnecessary travel and stay indoors. Homeless people living on pavements are the worst hit during winter, and densely populated Delhi has a large number of them who struggle without the basic protection against the cold. The heavily polluted air has also caused health issues combined with the freezing cold conditions. The Weather Office has forecast that the condition will continue over the next few days. The Indian government has said it would hold fresh discussions on the new hit-and-run laws after protests by truck drivers. The All India Motor Transport Corporation agreed to call off the protests after long talks with the government. Reports quoting the Home Secretary said, "The law will not be enforced until all concerns are addressed. The law calls for tough penalties in hit-and-run cases in which the victim dies or suffers serious injuries. Under the new law, drivers can be jailed up to 10 years or they could be hit with a fine of up to 7 lakh rupees. The protest by the drivers across India sparked panic buying of fuel after reports said fuel stations could go dry any time. For the first time, an Indian satellite will be launched on a SpaceX rocket from the US state of Florida. The next-generation heavy GSAT-20 communications satellite will be carried into orbit on the heavy-lift Falcon 9 rocket. Reports said India did not have a rocket heavy enough to lift satellites beyond the 4-ton class, but the Indian Space Research Organization said it was a matter of availability of rockets. Reports said India signed a contract with SpaceX for the launch in the second quarter of this year. The switch marks a shift in Indian policy, which until now relied on France-led Arianespace Consortium to launch the heavy satellites. The row in India's wrestling community took a new turn after hundreds of junior wrestlers said one full year of their career was disrupted by a face-off between seniors and the Wrestling Federation. The protesters who gathered in Delhi blamed Bajrang Punia, Sakshi Malik and Vinesh Phogat. Earlier, the three top wrestlers led protests against former heads of the federation and accused them of sexual misconduct. About 300 protesters arrived on buses from Uttar Pradesh and Haryana, and the rest were from Delhi. Reports said many were on their way to the protest site. In December, the Sports Ministry dissolved the Wrestling Federation and appointed a panel to run its affairs after female wrestlers expressed fears of sexual harassment. 12 people died and dozens were injured after a passenger bus collided with a truck in the northeastern state of Assam. Police said the accident took place in Golaghat district and 10 bodies were recovered from the scene in Balijan area. They said the injured were rushed to a hospital in the area and 2 passengers among them died later. Local people joined the police and helped with the rescue of survivors. Police said an investigation will be launched to find out the cause and circumstances in which the accident occurred. The scenic state of Assam is a hilly terrain where driving can be a challenging experience on some routes. The Supreme Court has ruled in favor of Adani Group in the Hindenburg case and said there are no grounds to transfer the probe to a special investigation team. It said the Indian regulator, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, or SEBI's investigation cannot be doubted, based on a report by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, which is funded by US billionaire George Soros. SEBI investigated 22 out of the 24 cases linked to the US-based short seller Hindenburg Research's allegations. The Supreme Court gave SEBI 3 months to complete the investigation in the remaining 2 cases. Media reports said the court ordered the government and SEBI to check whether Hindenburg ignored rules in shorting the market and take action accordingly. The chairman of the business group, Gautam Adani, welcomed the court's verdict and said truth has prevailed. In a social media post, he expressed gratitude to those who stood by his company and said its contribution to India's growth story will continue. The Adani Group is an Indian multinational conglomerate with its headquarters in Ahmedabad. The group's businesses include sea and airport management, electricity generation and transmission, mining, natural gas, food and infrastructure. The group was founded by Adani in 1988 as a commodity trading business. The Chief Minister of Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal, has not responded to a summons from an investigating agency for the 3rd time. His Aam Aadmi Party said the notice from the Enforcement Directorate in the liquor policy case was illegal and it was a plot to arrest him. It also said Kejriwal was ready to cooperate with the investigation and he has responded to the notice. The party said the intention of the probe was to stop him from campaigning for the general election due this year. Kejriwal was interviewed by the Central Bureau of Investigation in April, but it did not name him as an accused. His former deputy, Manish Sisodia, and a lawmaker from his party have already been jailed in the case. In the run-up to the inauguration of Ram Temple in Ayodhya, an intense festive atmosphere has gripped the town. An eco-friendly ride service has been launched in the town to keep the site free from air pollution. The cars will provide low-cost tours for devotees arriving at the temple, as well as the town, which is expected to draw a large number of visitors after its consecration. The temple was built at a cost of 1,800 crore rupees, and the construction involved some of India's top sculptors and artists. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the Ram Temple later this month in the presence of religious figures, politicians, celebrities, and dignitaries from other countries. A large number of tourists have been flocking to the Manali Winter Carnival in the Himalayan state of Himachal Pradesh. The state chief minister inaugurated the festival on Tuesday, which hosts cultural shows and star-studded nights. Performers from more than 20 Indian states are taking part in the event. The state's capital, Shimla, is one of India's best-known destinations, famous for its rivers, streams, and lush mountains. Reports last month said more than 1 lakh tourists arrived in the state to spend the year-end and the new year. The arrivals were expected to boost the tourism industry, which was badly hit by the floods in July. Security officials in Lebanon have said Israel killed a high-ranking Hamas leader in the capital Beirut. News outlets said Saleh al-Aruri was killed along with his bodyguards in a strike on the office of Hamas in the Lebanese capital. They said the strike destroyed 2 floors of a building and a car. Lebanon is where Hezbollah is based, which is a political group and a militant organization that has vowed to support Hamas. The Israeli attack is an indication of the war spreading beyond Israel's occupied areas of Palestine. Israeli forces in the north of the country and Hezbollah militants have clashed repeatedly since the fighting in Gaza broke out in October. In the wake of developments in Beirut, the United Nations peacekeeping force in Lebanon says it is deeply concerned about a potential escalation of violence. A spokesperson for UNIFIL said a wider conflict would have devastating consequences for both Israel and Lebanon and urged all parties to show restraint. International media, quoting the Lebanese Foreign Ministry, said the government has appealed to Hezbollah militants not to retaliate. Hezbollah, which is backed by Iran, is reportedly the first group in the Middle East to use suicide attacks and hostage-taking as a tactic in its armed campaign. Russian officials say they have foiled a Ukrainian attack on a border city as the war between the two nations continues to intensify. They said a dozen missiles were downed, which were fired at targets in Belgorod, where 25 people were killed on Saturday. Ukraine has not responded to the Russian claim. The attacks follow a barrage of missile and drone strikes launched by Russia on Ukrainian cities recently. It was Russia's biggest aerial bombardment since the war started 2 years ago. Reports said blasts were also heard in Sevastopol, the biggest city in Russian-occupied Crimea. The governor of the region, appointed by Russia, said a missile was shot down over the port and there were no casualties. Thank you for watching. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. Do tune in, same time tomorrow, for a roundup of the latest news and updates in India and around the world.